Morning, Eve. I'm so pleased you loved the book about the little princess. This is another story which has a princess and a dragon and a mouse. George and the Dragon. Far, far away in the high, high mountains, in a deep, deep valley, in a dark, dark cave, there lived a mighty dragon. He's really scary. Look at his teeth and his grumpy expression and the smoke and steam coming out of his nostrils. And oh, look at all the bones at the entrance of the cave. He could fly higher than the clouds and faster than all the birds. He's very grumpy. He could burn down a forest with a blast of his fiery breath. There's a castle up on that hill. He could smash a castle wall with a flick of his mighty tail. And he smashed that castle wall. And look, there the soldiers with their swords shouting and trying to defend the castle. And there's the burnt forest and the smoke. He could brush away an army with a sweep of his monstrous wing. There are all the soldiers on the horses. There's the castle wall that was broken when he flicked his tail. And there's the king and the queen looking so distressed at the hole in the wall. And oh no, what has the dragon got in his hand, in his claws? He's got their daughter, the princess, who has long golden hair, just like you, Eve. There was nothing so fierce and so terrible as the mighty dragon. There he is flying away with the princess tightly clutched in his claws. And there's the castle with everybody running round and the broken wall all distressed. But he had a secret, a big secret. Well, actually, a very small secret. He was terrified of mice. Which was a pity, because that very day a mouse moved into the cave just next door. Now there's the entrance to the dragon's cave with all the skulls of people and their bones, long leg bones, rib bones. It's a bit gruesome. And here is the cave next door. Just got sold. And it got sold to a mouse. His name was George. Got his suitcase with all his possessions, moving into his new home. Now, George didn't much care for the cave next door. It was cold and dark and draughty. The previous owner had been a bat, so the fixtures and furnishings were most inconvenient. Now, bats go to sleep hanging upside down from the roof of the cave. They must put their claws in roots of trees or something. So the bat, because it hangs upside down, it put the bed upside down and the table upside down and the chair is upside down and the chest of drawers is upside down. And there's poor George sitting on the ground below, looking rather sort of, what's he going to sleep on? And he's opened his suitcase, and what's he got out? He's got his teapot and his teacup and his milk jug. Oh, no, it's not his milk jug, it's his sugar pot. And then, and the nearest cheese shop was miles and miles away. George was feeling rather miserable, and to make matters worse, he had no sugar for his tea. I know, said George. I'll just pop next door and I'll see if I can borrow some. So he did. See, there's not much cheese in his little cheese plate. So he's feeling miserable. No cheese, no sugar. There's George, the little mouse. I say, you couldn't loan me a couple of lumps of sugar, could you? Asked George. Screamed the dragon, and he dropped the princess. And fled. The big scary dragon was terrified of the little mousie. There's the little mousie. And he fled. Oh, blow, groaned George. No tea then, because, there's no sugar, there's no cheese. What's he going to do? But George did get his tea after all, with 2 lumps of sugar And he got cheese too, and nuts, and berries, and biscuits, and crackers, and cream cheese sandwiches, and jelly, and ice cream, and fairy cakes with pink icing. And, you see, he'd rescued the princess, so the princess took him home to her castle, and there he is sitting on a cushion on a chair, and she's pouring him tea into a tiny little teacup, and there are the lumps of sugar, and she's laid on this wonderful afternoon tea spread for him. There's the cheese, and what's all this? There's bread, and there's jelly. I think those must be fairy cakes with pink icing, and do you think those are green grapes, and those are nuts, and those are plums, and what are those? Are those oranges? And it's all just so delicious. And, so fairy cakes with pink icing, and they got him a new home, a cosy little hole in the castle wall. Beware of the mouse. There's George looking, and who's there hiding behind the mountains, looking very, very scared? The dragon. So, far, far away in the high, high mountains, in a deep, deep valley, in a dark, dark cave, there lived a mighty dragon. He had fiery breath, a ferocious tail, and monstrous wings, and was afraid of nothing. Well, he was afraid of one small thing. George, the little mousie.